This will be a day long remembered. Now I am the master.
Welcome to another episode of Legends and Theories. Numa goes up to Wendell to give him a device so he can take codes to get a message past the barrier of Atatin. After he manages to get the codes, a security droid comes up to him and asks him what he's doing. Wendell tries to play it off, but is caught and brought to Farah. She then has the droid shut down and begins to talk to Wendell. Wendell points out that the supervisor is going to be no help to them and they have to send out a message themselves. While Farah is hesitant, she does agree to help him. The kids go to reactivate SM-33, tying him down to see if they could get any information from him. And after turning him back on, they go and begin to ask him about everything after SM-33 assures them that he will not be following the old captain's orders and will now be following Fern's orders. And after he says that he does not have records of where Atatin is, but his previous captain, Takranad, hid it in his fortress on Skull Ridge Mountain. After hearing this name, Jad is intrigued and begins to tell the kids of Takranad and how he was one of the most famous pirates in the galaxy and disappeared while searching for the world of Atatin to get its treasure. After easily breaking through his restraints, SM-33 goes and sets a course for the location of Skull Ridge Mountain and begins to tell kids the story of Tekronad and how he was killed by his crew who decided to betray him once they reached Atatin, but he also went and sabotaged the ship, causing it to crash and kill the rest of the crew. Jad later comes across Wim, who is very scared and worried about everything. Jad goes and tries to comfort him, and they soon arrive at Skull Ridge Mountain. Entering the planet's atmosphere, they are confronted by multiple ships that tell them they are on the planet named Lanupa, and that kids aren't allowed in the spas there. After this, Jad goes and tries to talk the kids into letting him and SM-33 go alone. The kids refuse this and say that they're coming along, and with Fern being the captain, SM-33 says he will go nowhere without his captain. Jad reluctantly agrees and tells them that they needs all of their Old Republic credits so he can be able to use it inside of the facility. The kids reluctantly give it to him, and they come out disguised as wise elders. Security approaches them, and they take away Jad's knife, saying weapons are not allowed, and place a restraining bolt upon SM-33 to restrict all violent actions. SM-33 is furious at what has happened to his home, and that it is now a spa. He goes to try to attack the guards, but the restraining bolt shuts him down. Before they leave, Jad uses the Force to bring the knife back to him, and they enter into the spa. Jad then goes and pays off one of the employees to put him under the name of one of the guests, and after that he has to pay off more bribes after she realizes that the wise elders are just kids, and to be able to get his room upgraded and for him to have a personal meal made for him. And his plans quickly change when a former associate of his named Pocket, who is a bounty hunter, approaches him and uses another one of his many assumed names and begins to confront him and tell him what she's been up to. After knowing that she was going to rat him out to his former crew, he quickly goes and leads the kids to the room and then begins to talk to SM-33 as the kids go and explore the room about really everything about Tekranad and his layout for the base, the droid says that everything should be the same there and that ultimately things will be pretty simple to find as long as they could find Tech Renaud's symbol, and he carves it into the wood on one of the plates. Jad then begins to talk about everything else, but notices the kids are quickly not paying attention and playing around. After he sees this, he begins to go off on them, saying that Pocket is dangerous. She has most likely contacted the pirates to let them know about their location and that they will soon be coming, and that they need to break out into teams to go and investigate the spa and find the location of the cave so they can get the coordinates for At-Atin. The kids reluctantly agree and break into teams to go and start searching the spa. Jad is, of course, correct, and Pocket goes and contacts Brutus, who goes and sends some of his pirates out, promising to pay her off if they find Captain Silvo is actually there. Wim, Fern, and SM-33 go and investigate throughout the spa and decide to follow the pipes down to lead them to the center of the mountain where SM-33 says that Renaud's fortress would be in. Meanwhile, Jad and Neil and KB are investigating the outsides of the spa. They begin to see some ruins that KB is able to translate with her implants, but they are quickly confronted by the security, and the guard says to Jad to confirm his identity. When Jad does, the guard says that the identity he's assumed is someone from Scipio, and knowing that Munes are from Scipio, Jad tells the kids to run, and they take off to try and escape from the guards. Wim and Fern manage to find the symbol of Renaud and then are confronted by a large creature that is visiting the spa. They are terrified by it and call for help. Meanwhile, Jad, Neil, and KB are continued to be pursued by the security and are eventually cornered as they read out Jad's arrest warrant. They tell him to get away from the wise elders. When they say that they're just kids, the security says that they're going to arrest them also. They are completely surrounded, but KB manages to use a wrench to go and cause the pipes to burst, knocking the guards over and giving them a chance to escape. SM-33 finds the rest and brings them down to help Women Firm, but they quickly realize that all this rushing was for nothing because the creature is actually quite friendly. They reveal his name is Cathalops, and he does want to help them. He initially thought they could have been assassins, but now that he knows that they are friendly and entertaining with a good story, he agrees to help them and breaks through the barrier that Renaud left behind and lowers them all down so they can continue on their journey. Meanwhile, the pirates arrive at the spa and begin their invasion and search for Captain Silvo. SM-33 leads them through and tells them to step exactly where he steps. Neil accidentally steps on a button that goes and sends a laser beams above their heads. Thankfully, they all dodge it, but he is warned, along with the other kids, to be more careful. Meanwhile, the pirates continue their pursuit of them, and the kids come up to a large lake of acid, which is confirmed when SM-33 dips his toe in and it quickly begins to burn away the metal. They look up and see an inscription saying that they must go and sacrifice the most valuable thing, and the kids at first think it means life, but quickly realize that Renaud didn't care anything about life, and the most valuable thing to him would be treasure. Taking one of the Old Republic credits, they toss it in, and that causes the acid to go and drain out, and reveal an entrance to Renaud's lair. They did this just in time as the pirates have caught up with them. As they begin to open fire, they run in and seal the doors behind them. Entering into Renaud's vault, they look around and see a great amount of treasure. Jad tells them to go and look around for anything that looks suspicious, but not to touch anything. Wim comes across a lightsaber, and Neil quickly realizes that there's a bunch of rotting meat alongside a perfectly maintained steak and brings everyone over. When going to investigate it, they realize that there is a trapdoor set up on the seat for anyone to touch it to be sent down. After going and letting that reset, they go and check it out and use it to reveal the hidden location of Renaud's computer, and once they have access to it, they use it to get the coordinates to AT-ATN. But then also, Jad asks SM-33 to play a message from Renaud to know more about AT-ATN and learns that it is a location of a mint of Old Republic credits, and whoever takes it would have an unlimited amount of money. Jad begins to have his greed take hold, and the kids try to talk him down, saying that he made a deal with them. Jad ignores them and challenges Fern to a duel. SM-33 says that this is completely within the right of the Pirates Code and that Fern must accept this to maintain her position as captain. She agrees and tries to attack Jad, who easily is able to go in to defeat her and puts a knife to her neck, telling her to yield. Wim goes and grabs the lightsaber and threatens to use it against Jad. He then goes and ignites the blade, but unknowingly was holding the blade upside down. The blade hits the floor and launches out of his hands and skids across the floor. Fern reluctantly gives up her position as captain to Jad, and Jad tells SM-33 to take the kids into custody for attempting a mutiny against him, and Wim says that he knows how to escape. He gets all the kids to the spot where the trapdoor is, pulls it, and lets them down. Jad is disappointed they've escaped, but is content on going on to AT-ATN to be able to get the treasure. He uses the Force to pull the lightsaber to him and looks upon it with a great reminiscence. The kids escape and are launched out of tubes at the bottom of the base. There they have to go and help Fern reset some of KB's implants, which have been malfunctioning since the crash did damage them. Meanwhile, back at the top of the facility, Jad makes it out covered in treasure. He's quickly surrounded by pirates and calls for SM-33 to help. SM-33 is disabled with an ion blast. He is taken into custody as Pocket begins to gloat. But quickly, a group of New Republic X-Wings come in and begin to attack the pirates' fighter craft. The pirates begin to flee, and the kids now go and watch the X-Wings attack the pirates and realize that the X-Wings are the good guys and that Jad was lying to them about that. They go to try and get the attention of the X-Wings, but are not able to, and they now are having to find a way to escape and get back to their ship, which they notice is still on the landing platform. Fern wants to climb up there directly to get to the ship, and KB doesn't like this idea. They begin to argue when Wim points out that there's a bunch of crabs that could speak to them. He thinks that they should follow them to lead them to someone that could help. While Fern doesn't like this idea and Neil is hesitant, KB says that she will go with him. And Fern says that she's going to go after the ship and orders Neil to come along. Neil reluctantly does to make sure that someone is with her. The two groups break off, both promising that they will get to the ship first and wait for the other ones there. Silvo is brought back to the pirates' command ship and is put on trial by Brutus. Brutus finds him guilty and says that he is to be sent out of the airlock, but the other pirates point out he does have a right of last appeal as part of the Pirates Code. Brutus reluctantly gives him the time to speak, and Jad begins with his limited time to talk about how he's hungry and always has been, and that he knows that they all want more than they could get, and there really is no way for this, but he has found a way for them to get everything they want. He shows them the Old Republic credit, one of the final ones he has, and says that there's an entire planet full of them, and he knows its coordinates. If they come with him, he will bring them to treasures beyond their wildest imaginations, and while the pirates are very skeptical, they see this as a great opportunity, but still threaten Jad that if he's lying and it turns out everything he's saying is false, he will be sent out of the airlock as quickly as possible. Wim comes to KB, who is stopping because she just doesn't have the strength to continue on. She tells Wim that he needs to help her build a new component to go into her implant to replace it because of the damage that was sustained to it. Wim agrees and begins to help her. Meanwhile, as Fern and Neil begin to climb, Fern is annoyed that Neil isn't able to go as fast as her. Neil points out that not everyone has the exact same capabilities of her, and that she needs to understand that. She sees some rope and has an idea. Meanwhile, Wim goes up to KB with droid parts and uses it to help her build a new component. As they do this, Wim begins to ask her if the reason that she decided to go with him was because that she didn't think she could make it up the stairs or if she actually believed in him. When she confirms that she just didn't believe she could make it up and that Fern sometimes doesn't live in reality thinking that everyone is able to keep up with her and at her exact pace and skill level. And she says that is not realistic, and although it is nice that she does want to treat her like nothing has changed since her accident, it has, and she doesn't have the same capabilities that she had before. Wim then goes and pours in some molten metal to create the new piece for the implant, and after pulling it out, he places it into KB's head. She quickly passes out for a second, but quickly is able to recover from it and thanks Wim for his help, calling him a Jedi. She says that he didn't expect saving someone's life would be so simple, and they continue on following the crabs. Fern uses the rope to help pull Neil up, but they quickly see that the Onyx Cinder has been taken by towing craft and is being brought away. They decide that they need to jump onto it and take control of one of these craft to bring the ship down safely. Meanwhile, Wim and KB reach the crab's location and realize that this was a trap set by a larger crab that plans to go and eat them. Neil and Fern manage to take control of one of these tugs and use it to pull them towards the crab and manage to rescue both Wim and KB, who manage to jump onto the controlled craft they have. But the crab attacks them, and it causes the tug to lose power, and it crashes into the others, causing the Onyx Cinder to crash away. The kids manage to safely recover from this. They reunite, and KB apologizes to Fern for not speaking up to her, but Fern also apologizes, saying that she needs to realize when people aren't capable of doing the things she is doing. The kids then start to head towards the Onyx Cinder to take it away, but see that a giant machine used to destroy trash is heading towards it. The kids go and rush down to get the Onyx Cinder out of there so it is not destroyed and they could actually manage to escape using the coordinates that KB managed to get to go back to Adatin. They manage to board the ship, but they are pinned down by the garbage crusher and need to find a way to escape. Wim heads up to the cannons and begins to open fire on it, but this is not able to do anything for it. As KB powers the ship up, they realize the only thing to do is to flip the emergency switch that detonates the hull that SM-33 told them never to touch. They use it and the hull blasts off. The kids manage to escape in a smaller version of the Cinder as the armor plating around it is destroyed by the garbage crusher. They then manage to escape for the planet and begin to head back home to Atatin. Thank you for watching this episode of Legends and Theories. Please subscribe, like the video, share the video, leave a comment, check out the video on screen, and may the Force be with you.